Welcome to another mini-sode, everybody. Dustin Harris hanging out with you. I want to remind you we are sponsored by ANOW Software. You can reach ANOW by going to anow.com/coach. It's anow.com/coach and find out why I use ANOW to manage everything within my appraisal office. You should be too. anow.com/coach. Folks, I want to reach out on a quick mini-sode. I think this will be very, very quick on a mini-sode. I had an experience over the last couple of weeks that I think is poignant. I think it's important for appraisers to consider. We spend a lot of time, at least if you're me or a busy appraiser, we spend a lot of time in our vehicles. And it is an important aspect of the appraisal process. Part of being a business owner is being wise about the way that we spend our time and also being wise about where we spend our time. Okay. Recently, it became very poignant to me that it was time for me to move out of the vehicle that I was driving into something else. Okay. Let's just say my vehicle was getting a little bit old. Actually, it's not even that old. I just spend so much time in the car driving here and driving there in this rural area that I do appraisals in that, I wear things out and they wear out quickly. My car was not actually that old, but it had a lot of miles on it and it was starting to look that way and it was starting to feel that way. So I started the process of looking at a new vehicle and I ended up buying a vehicle. The process itself, I think, was worthy of a mini-sode to talk about some of the things that appraisers should possibly consider when it comes to vehicles. Now, I'm talking about appraisers who are in a similar situation to me, that you're doing a lot of driving around, that you don't delegate that part of the appraisal process out. Some appraisers do. Some appraisers are more in-house managing the team back at the office. I still spend a lot of time in my car driving here and driving there. I pretty much do 95% of all appraisal inspections that go through our office. And so to me, a vehicle is super duper important. Okay, couple things to consider when you buy a vehicle, when you're looking at a vehicle. In fact, folks, I would encourage you to consider thinking about a vehicle, even if you've got one now, okay, and you're not even really on the radar of maybe I should be looking at a new vehicle. I would consider that maybe you ought to do that, and here is why, okay? Couple things happened to me as I went through this process. First of all, and this is super important for me, and I think that, again, if you cover an area like mine, or maybe you've got a metro area where you spend a lot of time in traffic, okay, consider your gas mileage. I can tell you this. I bought a car last week with the exact same engine as the car that I had previously, and just in a few years, they have increased the fuel efficiency on this engine by 10 miles per gallon. I used to be getting between 24 and 25 miles per gallon on a regular basis. I now get between 34 and 35. I get 38 on the highway and a little less than 32, sometimes 30, 31 around town. Okay, I watch it pretty close because I'm interested in that as it's a new car. But I'll tell you, folks, I started doing the math on that. And for somebody who drives 20,000 plus miles a year, you can do the math too. That is a huge savings. Okay, let me give you an example of what happened that was poignant to me. I started figuring out that I've got the same size gas tank as I had before. Yet in that gas tank, I can actually go 140 more miles than I could previously. In other words, same amount of gas, 140 more miles for every fill up more than I could previously. That is huge for an appraiser who does a lot of driving around. So gas mileage is a big thing to consider when you're looking at vehicles. Okay. Practicality. Okay. For me, it was a big deal. And I know some of you are saying 34, 35 miles per gallon on a brand new car, Dustin. Boy, that doesn't really sound like much. Now, what I didn't tell you is the top priority for me as far as practicality goes is the ability to get around in Idaho in all weather. Okay, we experience winter around here. They exaggerate and say it's 9 months out of the year. It feels like 9 months out of the year, but it is more like 6 months out of the year. I mean, we've got snow sometimes in October, and that can last as late as May, honestly. No, not always, but we're looking April, March for sure. And I have an area that goes through mountains, through passes, through some very difficult terrain. I have areas that I get into that have not been plowed. For me, all-wheel drive was absolutely a necessity. So I started looking at a lot of different cars and actually ended up back where I started from. And that is I got the exact same brand of car that I had previously. And it's an all-wheel drive and is the number one right now all-wheel drive as far as gas mileage and some of the other features I'm going to talk about. So practicality was a big deal to me. A couple other things that I think are interesting about the car that I purchased is number one, it has some safety features that I want to get into in just a little bit. But as far as practicality goes, it's big, meaning it's a sedan. It easily fits 5 people. When I say easily, the back seat is much bigger than the back seat in the car I had previously. I really could only fit 4 people in my car before. I can comfortably fit 5. I've got a nice big trunk. I can put my ladder back there. I can put my I call it my get home bag in there. That's my bag full of stuff that helps me if I run off the road or get stuck overnight in some mountain village that, honestly, it happens. I mean, avalanches, different things close passes, and sometimes I'm stuck in these little podunk towns overnight. So I've got a bag that I carry with me. It's nice to have that in the back seat, in the trunk. I used to have it in the back seat in my other car, and now I've got it in the trunk. I've got snowshoes in the trunk. I've got boots, winter boots in the trunk, and I've got other things that can help me if I need them. Again, practicality. Here's the other thing, and I had an appraiser mention to me on my All-Star Team website that we talk online with, and one of the individuals, one of the members there said, to me it's important to have a turning radius that is small. And I thought, you know what, that's something I have not considered in the past. But, think about the amount of U-turns that we take trying to take comp pictures and drive-by shots and everything else, stalking out the neighborhood, if you will. We do a lot of U-turns, and, to not have to do that 3-point turn, to just do a quick U-turn is an important thing. And to her, that was a number one priority. She didn't live in an area that she has to worry so much about all-wheel drive, but, a lot of U-turns, and she's going to consider the turning radius in that car. Again, as you look for a vehicle, think about these things, both on money savings and on practicality. I think these things are important to consider. I want to pause here for a second. When I come back from the break, I'm going to tell you which car I purchased. But some of the other things I'm going to tell you about are safety features that I think for an appraiser are kind of a big deal. Okay, and I'm not promoting this particular brand of car. I certainly don't get a kickback for what I'm sharing here. I'm just telling you, for me, in all ways, it just worked out to where this happened to be the best choice for me. Speaking of the best choice for me and for you, how about the choice of management software within your appraisal office? ANow is that software. What does ANow do? Not only does it keep track of the orders, but it also keeps track of where we're at with each order. I can at a glance look at any order, and I can know exactly what we're doing. Are we on hold because the borrower couldn't arrange something with the tenant? Are we in the process of final quality control checks before we send them out? Have we sent it out and not been paid yet? ANow software allows me to track that, but so much more, folks. I can actually manage my entire business, the finances and everything else on the backside in the analytics tab. Folks, if you've not checked it out, I highly encourage you to check out ANow software. Simply go to anow.com/coach, anow.com/coach. And when you sign up, you will get a free 3 months of the All-Star Team. Go to anow.com/coach for more information. And we are back, folks. We are talking about vehicles for appraisers, and specifically we're talking about an experience that I've had recently where I purchased a new vehicle. Yes, I said new. I know some people say, don't buy new. The minute you drive off the parking lot, you depreciate. Yeah, well, you know what? There's some truth in that, but honestly, I found the car that I needed as an appraiser, that I wanted as an appraiser, and then I started looking at used, and I realized that this particular brand of car actually is very it holds its value. Let's put it that way. I was only saving a couple thousand by going used, and it doesn't come with the same warranty, and it comes with miles already put on it, and it comes with, various dents and dings that come with utilizing a car. It just made more sense for me to buy new. Second time I've bought new, and second time I've bought the same brand. The brand, folks, you probably already guessed it, all-wheel drive, great gas mileage, great car all around, a Subaru. I got a Subaru Legacy, brand new 2017 Subaru Legacy. Now, for those of you who don't know much about the Legacy, let me tell you a couple things that I think you ought to consider. Now, these features are not exclusive to Subaru. I think all of the features are. In other words, if you add all of these features I'm about to tell you up, I don't know of another car company that has them all, but I know that various car companies have similar features, okay? Safety. First of all, there are 8 airbags in the Subaru Legacy. To me, that is important, okay? No life is worth saving money on, okay? To me, safety is a big, big deal, especially when I'm in a car and not a big SUV. I hit a deer in my wife's SUV about 2 months ago, and I was very thankful that I was not in my sedan. I'm not saying that I would be any better off in the Subaru Legacy. I'm just telling you that those airbags mean a lot to me. Okay, so that's a big deal. The all-wheel drive is also a safety thing for me as well. There's some other safety features that I won't go into, but there are a couple things that I think are important to point out that you may want to consider. Subaru EyeSight. Okay, EyeSight is a new thing that Subaru has, and again, some other car companies have similar things, but it's called Subaru EyeSight. If you want to see some amazing videos, go to YouTube and just type in Subaru EyeSight, EyeSight being one word, and just start to look through the videos. Let me tell you a couple things that Subaru has done. So it's got cameras in the front, it's got cameras in the back. It is as close to a self-driving car as you can have legally right now. Now, I know Tesla and others, Google has tested some things out as well. I know there's some self-driving cars out there that are absolutely amazing. If you've not seen the YouTube video about the Tesla driving car, absolutely incredible. I'll just give you a little sneak peek on that. At the end of the video, the guy gets out and the car parallel parks itself while he stands on the sidewalk watching it. Okay, super cool, right? I don't have a Tesla, not even close. But that being said, the Subaru EyeSight is incredible. So it's got 2 cameras in the front, another camera in the back. It's got radar on all 4 corners. Yeah, there are 4 corners on a car. On all 4 corners, we've got radar, okay? So it's got a couple different things. Number one, when you try to change lanes, okay, and you turn your blinker on and somebody is in your blind spot, maybe coming up behind you on either side, it will warn you that there's somebody there. Okay, super cool. Got the backup camera. It's also got, I'm not sure what the feature is called. It's not in front of me, but it's got an automatic braking system when you back up and there's somebody there. Kid is behind you. Let's say you stop at an appraisal appointment, you park in the driveway, you go do your appraisal, you get back in the car and you start to back up and one of their kids has, on their tricycle or what have you, got behind you and you did not see them. Holy smokes, folks. Can you imagine? I can't even imagine the horror of something like that. I'm not saying that Subaru EyeSight would completely eliminate that, but your chances of running over that kid are far decreased. Just the other day, I was in a parking lot. I started to back out. I could not see anybody. The car saw it before I did, gave me a warning, and actually started to brake for me because there was a car coming down the lane that I couldn't see as I was pulling out of the grocery store parking spot. Okay, that is super cool to me. Saved me not a life, but a dent in my bumper already, and I've only had it a week. Okay, the other thing that EyeSight will do is you can actually turn on the cruise control and it will actually track the vehicles in front of you. So if you're cruising down the road and let's say you're not paying as close of attention as you should, the EyeSight will lock into another car that's in front of you and it will slow your vehicle down and basically track that will tether itself to the vehicle in front of you. So if they slow down, and I've tested this, by the way, it's super scary to hover above the brake and not hit it. But I'm telling you, that car will actually slow down all the way. So you're on cruise control. There's a car in front of you, and it stops at a stoplight. Okay, you actually would not have to do anything if you're on cruise control. If you're tethered to that car in front of you, it will slow down, it will stop, and you will stop behind it like you would if you were in control. Now, again, you should not trust this stuff completely. I'm telling you, though, it works and it's amazing. Okay. It also has automatic lane departure notices and nudging. So if you turn this on, you're driving down the road. Let's say you got, your mind got distracted and you start to weave into another lane. It will beep at you. If you do nothing, it will actually bump your steering wheel into the lane it's supposed to be in. I have actually taken my hands off. I shouldn't admit this in public, but I have taken my hands off of the steering wheel, hovered above it, and paid attention to what I'm doing and allowed the car to weave in and out of the lanes, and it stayed in the lane the whole time. When it started to weave, it would actually bump me back in. It was absolutely amazing. It will also stop for me, okay, when I talked about hitting the deer the other day, okay? Supposedly, I'm not tested this yet, but I have seen YouTube videos of it, and it is incredible. If something gets in front of you, a car stops in front of you, a child runs out in front of you, a deer runs out in front of you, you're just not paying attention, what have you, the car will see what's in front of you. If you do not stop, it will stop for you. Absolutely amazing. Again, safety features are super, super cool on the Subaru Legacy. I got the limited edition. It is super cool. Leather seats, all kinds of really cool things. Again, I'm not trying to sell you on Subaru. What I'm trying to do is share with you today the importance of thinking through what it is that you're doing. Now, let me tell you, just as we close up here, financially, what this did to me, okay? I'll just tell you, it's a $30,000 car, okay? That being said, because of the tax savings right off the top, talking to my accountant and what we can work there, and the increased gas mileage, this car will pay for itself within 3 years. Easy. That to me is worth a bundle. In other words, looking at the price tag, $30,000, yeah, that kind of bites. That stings a little bit. But when I realized that I can be in a safe vehicle, a more comfortable ride than I was in before, and a perfect car for me as an appraiser, it was a no-brainer because it pays for itself in 3 years. Folks, think about the vehicle that you are driving in. I had a great friend the other day tell me, you know what? It's worth spending money where you spend your time. I'll just tell you the context of that. I was talking about the XM radio, that the free trial that comes when you buy a new car. And I'm like, dude, I love this XM radio. It's so cool. I didn't think I would like it. But now I'm starting to look at it. It's like if I actually sign up for XM radio, it's like $20 a month. That's ridiculous. And he goes, yeah, how much time do you spend in your car, Dustin? And I'm like, okay, yeah, good point. He says, you know what? I feel like you should spend money where you spend your time. And you know what? I think he's got a point. So consider that. Where do you spend your time, appraisers? If it's in the car, maybe you ought to consider a new vehicle. Again, gas mileage, practicality, and safety. Super good things to remember as you consider a vehicle for an appraiser. Speaking of, I mentioned earlier the All-Star team. Right now, you can get on the All-Star team, be a part of that secret online group where we discuss all kinds of things related to appraisal in your business office, as well as the 8-page color newsletter every single month. Go to All-Star Team on my website, theappraisercoach.com. We'll catch you next time.